in their quest to remain relevant to the run-up of the next GE. I think the next GE will be happening quite soon now, maybe around August. That's what most people are saying. You know, going into GE 15, I think Sarawak is very fortunate. You know, Sarawak is fortunate in the sense that we are very unique because we are not a member of PN. We are also normal with PN. You know. So we are sort of an independent bloc, and the things that we do is quite different from the West Malaysian politics.
Yeah.
You see, like what GPS is doing now. One thing that is very impressive about GPS is there is a lack of toxic politics. You see, so the problem in the federal now, the problem happens mainly is because of toxic politics. You see, like DAP is now in the hot soup, because it's a toxic politics. You see, what is their strategy to win election? You know, the people are not happy. So when they are not happy, you go and, make them more unhappy. You see, and then you pour oil onto the fire. You see, so what they are doing is they are creating a monster. You know, people are not happy. You make them angry. You make them more unhappy to their advantage. Now the wind has changed. And then this monster very very susah, to make them happy. So suddenly they are against you. So they created a monster that they are out of control. You see, and then you have people starting to throw eggs at the Lim Kit Siang. So I think toxic politics is very dangerous, but we are very fortunate that we don't have this type of politics. You see, and then our political positioning is also very unique. We are there to stabilize the federal government for the good of Malaysia. We are not PN. We are not BN. I think that's good. In other words, it makes if we govern ourselves properly, it makes us a very attractive kingmaker.
Of course, it's a stabilizing factor.
Yeah. But I think there is also some danger that we have to be cautious. You see, one of our weakness is that we are good, we don't practice toxic politics. But sometimes we are very naive, Sarawakian very nice, You see, so that sometimes people attack us unnecessarily and then we don't know what to do about it. You see, and the one thing I find it is that there is a lack of apparatus to counter propaganda. Why do I say this? Because in the last election, whether it's the GE or it's the state, there's a lot of misinformation, twisted half facts, being directed against GPS or the Sarawak party. And then most of the time we are not responding to it. Sometimes not responding to it is also good because it's a non-issue. But sometimes we cannot take it standing down.
You see? Fast,
And then who are the ones who counter this type of propaganda? It's our politician. I find that it's not enough for our politician to do the job, because they are already busy. They are busy doing their work, And then you have the other party that is not in the government, so they have more time. So they can do a lot of things,
Definitely, I agree with you on that.
You see, and then when you wait for the politician to reply to them, sometimes they are already late, and then sometimes being politicians, they are the elite, And then the elite, you don't see the grassroots. You see, so the reply that you give may not be the grassroots reply, whereas the other party attack the government based on grassroots sentiment. You see, so in that way, our counter effect is not there is a mismatch. You see, we counter them by giving a perspective that is an elite perspective, not a grassroots. And then we are so late in replying. And then sometimes because the politicians are so busy doing work, they cannot respond effectively. You see, so there is a need for an apparatus that is that can do the job done, not necessarily pro-government, you see, but at least fair to the government, fair to every party. You see, so there is a need for this kind of apparatus. And then the third thing is that although it looks like we are in peaceful waters now, and the opposition has lost the sting, but we must be ready for some unforeseeable outcome. Like Johor, in the last GE, nobody would expect Johor to fall because it's the Amno fortress. You see, maybe what has made a difference is the Malaysian workers in Singapore. So they come back in the big growth. So these type of workers are what I call a specialized demographic group, because they don't work in Malaysia already. Most of the time they are not in Malaysia.
But they are voters.
Yes, there is the problem. So you are like giving American citizens the right to vote in Malaysia election,
Yeah.
because they are already of advanced standing. You see, so when they are exposed to a Singapore culture, whether we like it or not, Singapore culture is more advanced than our culture, and Kuala Lumpur is more advanced than our Kuching culture. You see, so we are behind now. So this group of voters, they don't need the Malaysian government because they are already working in Singapore, and then they have a lot of ideas. If you go there and work, that means I depend on job from outside. I'm not depending on
nothing to lose.
Yeah, so they can do anything,
Yeah.
And so when
really has this problem,
Yeah.
if you really the Chinese, most of them are overseas everywhere.
yeah, and then suddenly when election come, all these people come back,
Yes.
But they are in essence no more Malaysian,
Yeah.
You see, but we cannot stop them from voting. So how to handle this group? Because Sarawak also have this kind of problem, but it's smaller because our people go to JB.
Yeah.
You see, so how many of them? It may be 200,000, not that big.
Bidayu in Iban,
You see?
Pasir Gudang, Iban.
Yeah. So I think this is one thing to take note of.
But they are Amno members, most of them.
Is it?
That's why I say our Dato' what do you call this? Dato' PDP last time, the better.
Immediate, James.
No. The Mawan, Dato'
Mawan.
Mawan. He got
William.
William Mawan, he got this endorsed going to Pasir Gudang, And they MC this the Iban there. But these people are Amno Cuangan. This during the Kalinoden time, they formed this Cuangan,
Oh.
So they gave these people the place to apply their trade. They have these stores like like our tamu here. They have that, and they interact with the local. And they become very Amnonized. Even BBB also cannot go. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I agree with your point. You have a good point there because the last election in drops they're coming back. I think they jammed the causeway in order to vote. And then I think this time around because of COVID, something like that, because there is restraint in terms of their movement, maybe because of that, right? Interstate movement or international movement. And maybe because of that, we don't know. But even if they are back, I don't think they're going to vote again for the opposition. Because I've been pulled one time, I don't want to be pulled twice.
Yeah,
That's why I mentioned to you in my WhatsApp, I have my relative there. They are Chinese.
Right.
I have my Chinese relative there.
Alright.
Because my grandmother is a Chinese.
Alright.
So, they are rich people. But rich, I think richer than any ordinary area, in Singapore, because their money is more 3 times more. If you are worth 5 million, that means they are worth 50 million. Something like that,
Yeah.
So I have my relative very rich last time. But they are confined to a small house. I thought, David, I'm very poor, but I have a big house here. You're so rich, damn brilliant. Your money is more than me, but you still live in two rooms. How are you going to get from this sardine packer? Yeah, that's our problem. They have to get out. They have to buy property somewhere in Australia or something, UK or something. Or in Johor for that. Why not we do that here? Second home for because most Singaporeans, Sarawakians are more what called acceptable to the Singaporean. rather than the Singaporean and the West mentioned. Because of the term kiasu. You know, Singaporean they are kiasu, you know. They always say, hey, I'm better than you, you know. You know, the kind of mentality, you know, terminology.
This is what Abang Joe mentioned about one of the newspaper cutting. They list up 4 reasons why we can win last election. Number 1 actually is talking about 2030. I think 2030, when we become fully developed country, Sarawak, then we'll be able to be more or less like Singapore, bit, whereby people will come back. That's why the 2030 is so important. That's what I'm talking about public education. If we are doing, we have that vision, hard to them, tell them, then the future, our money will be stronger, business better, economy better, they will come back, and so on. That kind of thing. Singapore can do, we can do better. You need time. 2030 is the thing we mentioned.
I think the political education for GPS is very critical, you know, especially now that the Undi 18 is in effect. Because on one hand, we want to give democratic rights to the people, but on the other hand, we want them to make full use of the rights, you know, not for the rights to be abused. You see, and then when we look at our Malaysian culture as a whole, to remember what Pak La has said, we have first class infrastructure but third class mentality. You see, that's very true. You know, the things that we see on a daily basis in Kuching, you know, what are the basic things? Number 1, we need to drive, we need to park our car, we need to eat, you know, we need to ship. But the people don't know how to drive properly, you know, and then they don't know how to eat properly. You know, the buffet, you have a problem, and then people simply eat and then have a health problem. And number 3, people use the toilet. You know, so these are the 3 basic things in every day, you know, but we cannot do these 3 basic things properly, you know. So our mentality is actually very shallow. So the political education is very important to make sure that the facility given to them is not abused. You see. But on the other hand, I think that we are now more fortunate than 3 years ago. You see, a lot of damage is done in the last 3 years, you know. It's the fault of different parties, not only one party, different parties. You see, and then, so things are starting to move forward, you know. The bad things has happened, but it's moving forward, you know. To say something maybe a bit sensitive, you see. There are things that we can learn from the toxic politics. You see, DAP is having a lot of problem because it creates monster, you know. And then now there is Amno is experiencing a resurgence. Why? Because in a way, not totally, but in a way, I think some of the leaders in Amno have been treated unfairly. You see, by the previous government. I'm mentioning Tun Dr. N, you know, because he wants to bring some people down, so he do it in his way that involve a lot of collateral damage. You see, because a lot of things is nonsense. You know, he make video that he with the sexy bed, you know, and then he cry, and then he show he wear the bata slippers, you know all this kind of thing, and then. But people forget about his horses, you know. You see, until Najib pointed out. You see, to be more fair to our former Prime Minister Najib, the court case is ongoing. So a lot of things people are looking. We cannot say he's totally wrong or totally right. You see, but at least the issue that comes up now is out of 1 MDB, how much money is stolen and how much money goes to him. It's a small amount, it's not a big amount, you know. So there's a bigger amount. You see? So now, actually, not only now when the court case is ongoing, actually, after 1 year after the last GE, a lot of people started to get very uneasy already, the grassroots, especially the Malays, you know. they think that Dr. M is pursuing a personal vendetta. You see, so it happened after 1 year already. The picture already changed.
Yes.
You see, so in a way, I find that some political leaders have become victim because they behave that way because of their political experience. Last time they do things like that is acceptable, and then suddenly we're in a new era. Then the rules all change. Suddenly I become guilty. You see, but all the people do like this. Why there's no wrong? Suddenly I follow the same rules, but I'm wrong. You see, so we are in a different era, and we are caught by this kind of surprises.
Dr. Mahathir, he is nationalist, but at the same time he wants to win local market, local constituents. So sometimes he saw narrow-minded and then said this at the expense of other people sentiment. But Sarawak is not like that. Our coalition is good. We do want to take care of our own constituency, but we also take in mind that there are other people cross party. Then we take care. So as Sarawakian, he should think more like a Malaysian. To me lah. So his latest book was used against him. Even Abang Joe mentioned chopstick thing, right?
Yeah.
So all these things shows that he is using local politics. He wants to win the local politics. The Johor, even the Johor contact, and is in a way shouldn't be our consortium politics now. Sarawak should always think for all the racial society, all the other party, and also even for our nation as a whole. We cannot be so parochial. In that sense.
I agree.
And we are not, I'm glad we are not.
Yes.
Except I feel like sorry to say again, these people campaign, like by campaign. If you go to, I went a few times. The last one is use YouTube. He is very toxic, sometimes foul, indecent language. But people caught, happy, crazy.
I would like to request Kelantanis and Sarawakians, they are more or less the same in terms of their equality. If you look into the university, when you come to see a Kelantanis student, everywhere we flock to a Kelantanis student. Like a Sarawakian, you go to Kelantan. And the rest, I don't think so. Like Zabaar, they go to Zabaar, But these three states, they are more hierarchical in outlook.
Yes.
When it comes to interaction at that level, I agree with you on that as far as the national politics and how they put about Najib fixed up, and fixed Najib in such a way. And I think Tun, what you see in him, there's something at the back of him. What you see good in him, there's something bad that's going to happen. Because the when you study from the way he governed 1981 until 2003, I'm not certain, that was 22 years, right? I was also involved in the propaganda works. I was under Lim Kok Wing last time. I was working with Lim Kok Wing. It's more on the political matters, I know. So Lim Kok Wing and a few others consider his crony, put it this way.
Anti-backing apa?
Anti-backing, our local anti-backing guy was sebenarnya Tan Sri, the late Tan Sri, and recent Tan, then this Yotong Le group,
Do you term that as oligarch?
More or less.
Quite more or less.
More or less.
Okay.
Because you see, at the end of the day, you look into, because Tun, what do you call this, engagement is always with them, within the group. And Daim is always within the free. But now they are not involved. But Daim is the one who is interacting with Mahdi. And Daim is controlling them. And controlling the new breeds of this Malay entrepreneur or Malay oligarch or what. But they fail. They fail terribly. People like Tamjidin Ramli, people like, and then these are the things. And Najib, when Najib came to it, he want to go away, to do away with all this cronyism, But he was being accused of being having a crony. but when we question who is Najib Kroni, nobody can answer that. Who is Najib Kroni? Najib Kroni is the DLC of the state. Because I believe Najib is using the formula used by China in China province or China, the big China and China province, using this DLC to they empower TLC to do all this business side of it. From there, they help all the entrepreneurs. Now, when you look into the Chinese, how they infiltrate the local economy, and you see Shenzhen, how they develop Guangzhou, the Guangzhou area. You see the Wuhan area, how they develop into an international hub. Wuhan is an international. There are many foreigners there. Gone are people like Shanghai and Beijing. They have the new area like in Wuhan. They create all this the COVID and something like that. Now, that is the perception, So when you look into the Wuhan is a metropolitan. The businesses there is all over the world. So how can they do that? It's because of the local ELC, the Chinese local ELC. And this is how Najib is going to apply in his course for the good economy of Malaysia. So if you compare the years that Najib is working and the years in Mahathir and the rest of the Prime Minister, I think Najib scored more in terms of FDIs. But you cannot depend on the advance, but we need the local economy. And how he create the local economy, he create his breed. He create the local, you need a business, a brisk business. I give the money to the Malay will spend in a local Chinese tuck shop. He got it, and then he got the things right, and from there he got the thing from this Australia. And this Australia, of course, a big Chinese company, for example, right? So these are all in the chain, supply chain, which you don't realize. And this is a kind of economics, they call it Najinomics, right? They put into play. And it creates a lot of businesses within that circle. So we are okay. We are okay. And of course, the GLCs never in their history has making billions of ringgit. For example, at Ponas, they have reserves more than 170 billions. Like KUSP, it had millions. No? So meaning that during the negative era, able to accumulate 2 trillion reserves internally, not externally, internally. I mean, hold by the various GLC. So where are we going to go bankrupt?
That's true.
Yeah. So when you look at the realities things, the real things, what's going on, that's where people like you mentioned just now about this apparatus to counter that. We must have that. We cannot rely on the government by itself. We cannot rely on the people on politics, but the party must play a role. The party must have their own what we call this a group of people savvy in software, savvy in social media, savvy in politics, savvy in legal matters. They're more knowledgeable in economy. So that things like what you mentioned just now, when there is any criticism or toxic kind of things, which we also can counter within a good solid facts. We must counter with solid facts. We cannot counter a matcha with a matcha. We cannot.
Right.
You cannot. If they throw you toxic, you throw that toxic. No.
Yeah.
We have to be a good thing. So if they throw fire at you, we throw water.
Yeah.
The elements of this
Confucius.
the kind of elements. We have to do that.
Yeah, gentlemen.
Yes, we have to do that because we must put ourselves in such a way. Like our good friend here mentioned, EBS is so nice thing. It's a nice thing. It become a stabilizing party, become a kingmaker. And sometimes we are naive also in such a way. But sometimes we need something to put our foot down. We need to be aggressive at certain times. Right. To counter what do you call this a lot of negative perspective from the other side against us. So we need to be in that kind of thing. I agree with you. For example, I've seen that, but I was surprised. Where are our what so-called political skaters. These are the people that should be making the first thing first in the public domain. For example, like in SUPP, they should be. They have their own team. They must have their own team. You know, you see, all sects are represented by all the four parties. Maybe people from outside. You know, we never know who are they. Maybe they are non-party member or not. So we need to look into this second rank. You know? And later on the party level, it has to be interaction. You know. So meaning that we cannot let negative things happening just like that. I from that one I cannot use this Dr. Sim never kita tengok saja. You know. I like this phrase. Kita tengok saja. You know. I like this phrase Dr. Sim.
You want to engage.
Yes, kita tengok saja. We must grab the things and then we challenge, we verify, we solve the whole thing, and then everything comes into what positive at the end of the day. So this is how I see things. But lately, the new resurgence, like you mentioned about this, within the Amno, because Amno has been is an institution that's been grassroots. You know, they are being in the grassroots. They are very wide. You know, in certain area there are most of the Malays. They are Amno member, and on the second part, PAS, but PAS has not been able to dominate in certain area except for Kelantan, Terengganu, and then Kedah or something like that. But without Amno present, they will not be there. You know what I mean? Because past enemy is Amno, number one. And past is one from their rib, it's from Amno rib, you know. Like Adam, become this evil, is one of these. So Amno, past is just like that. It's a shoot of Amno. Even like Semangat Pakonam lifestyle, PBM also shoot for Amno. PKR also shoot for Amno. But of course PKR they make up their people, the Chinese, the Indians, they are making the Ibans, they become members of the party. That's how I see that that kind of movement. It's by itself. People like I agree with you. People see, I think Najib has been a victim for this one. Until now, they cannot approve the 681. Cannot approve. They cannot even prove that in court. But Najib can prove that in court, right? Because he presents all the papers and there is a cemetery of this. They can verify that, and they actually have verified that. That is the money they came from, you know, where he's talking about that. But that does not come from YNDB. And when you talk about YNDB, the money, the small thing you mentioned about, there is SLC cash out 42 million. But that 2 million is a part and parcel of that 4 million loan from KWAP, is it? KWAP, right? That is part and parcel of that we do not know, you see. So people now are saying that you are charging a wrong person, whereas the people who have been sucking all this billions of ringgit scot-free. Like our latest one in US, this guy, Roger was charged. But why come he was charged in US? Why not he was charged in Malaysia? He was in Malaysia. He's working in Malaysia. He's not working in US. He's working in Malaysia. Why was he not charged? Why was Team National not charged here? Of course, the fact that maybe from the headquarters he look into the original, but what original? What about the other people that they bought? What about Taufik? What about Zeti? Because if not Zeti approval of that, there will be no issue about the money. The gateway is Zeti. Yes. If you not inform the premier, the prime minister, the thing won't happen.
So actually, what because we are a democracy, and then every 5 years people need the votes, you know. So because of every 5 years people need the votes, so people tell stories, but the stories being told are very selective. But the people on the street take this story as the gospel, you know.
Yeah.
You see, so there is a problem with our Malaysian population who are not thinking straight. You see, so when we say somebody says something, somebody tells some story, people get worked up. They are very excited. Oh, this thing happened, that thing happened. Actually, if we are a communist state or if we are a monarchy, nobody needs to get votes every 5 years. There will be no such stories around.
Okay, this Dr. Mahathir mentioned about Najib can be the next Prime Minister because of his appealing, he still can sit for the parliamentary election. Okay, that is beside the point. Can we transfer the whole issue which you mentioned to what I'm thinking on our Sarawak one? Sarawak, we have the famous Big Six, remember? And during the shifting context, during our Tan Mahmud's time, that's the formative economic stage, whereby actually Petronas is not earning much money. They give money, and so they're starting up. So towards the end, you have Tok Nan realize that we need more money. The Petronas is a lot of money now. Under the Mahathir also we have money. So in other words, Tok Nan is able to actually ask the timber tycoon people to give more money, remember, to Sarawak, Yayasan Sarawak, that thing, that's one example only. Then after that, you can see now our Premier Abang Jo, he is able to stand against the Big Six. I'm not, if I'm wrong, you correct me. Again, Big Six, you know why? The Big Six actually is more or less behind PSB, Wong Sun Ko's group, right? So these people, the Fuchao, the Sibu side, you know better. These Big Six, these people is behind PSB. But you can see that the people, for the shifting context again, realize that, like what you said just now, the economy, rather than counting on these people like Omega or power brokers, that kind of people controlling the economy. We need them before that perhaps, but now we don't need them. We go back to the state government and the cabinet and treasury to do the right thing, or JLC in that case. So are we doing the right thing? I think we are more or less slowly pushing out the Big Six. But we reinstate new economy for Sarawak, which is Abang Jo's mission, I think.
In fact, the culture of having to have this timber tycoons that we call the Big Six, to delve into this our political destiny. I think that is it's not right. I think the thing must not be our culture. It must be discarded. Because we cannot have this kind of colonialism to play a part in our political endeavors, you see. And it is because of politics they are there. Politics make things better for them. They must understand that. Because so when you look into this mega project or something, if they know somebody, it's not about how you know how, it's about know who. You see? Nowadays it's about know who in a decade, a big one. For example, like this Gamuda, they get this MRT job, a bigger one, a big chunk, billions of dollars. And once you give Mahathir a chance, the very moment, the next day, you will see these people around him. So sorry to say, Lee Kim Yew,
the power of fire.
Vincent Tan is always in front of him. And of course, our local late Tim Baking is always around the corner. If not himself, his son, in the back of him. And then, of course, the other party lah. Syed Mota is Syed Mota. I don't think he's like Mahathir, because Syed Mota businesses has been his own for the very beginning. He started very small, selling things and selling kerbau. He's not educated. Syed Mota is not that educated. So he's selling that kind of thing because of the family tradition, you know. So they from there they gain their strength and then they gain their wealth.
It's like William Ping here, like William Ping also start, you know, not much in capital,
Yeah,
but he business and then slowly he built out his name.
Yes, like the late William lah. Anak ni Cham anak kan.
No. William Ping is another.
William Ping another one. Okay. William Ping this
Will.
the brother last time the one furniture right last time.
Will Hua Wu.
Will.
The son is it's not so exceptional lah.
Yeah. So Mahathir, you see Mahathir, they always plays a pony around. So we cannot have that kind of thing because Najib knows that if Mahathir is still around, he's going to spoil the whole thing. He's going to spoil. That's why he's going to spoil because what we see in him, he's a statement. He has his own legacy. He built Putrajaya. The Putrajaya, the architect is from Sarawak, right? From Sarawak, right? And then his good friend, you know, that Sarawak. He was something like
Lawyer.
And see, we cannot afford to have that kind of thing anymore. So Najib looked into this jealousy and how he's going to help the Bhuiputras and how he will help the Indian, the Chinese to be engaged in the. It's all in the puddings, you know. So you cannot run away because you cannot say that he did his crony. So none. So the toxic part is more on the to Mahathir part that he's very placed. Even to me personally, I see Mahathir being a nationalist, he's a racist. He's a racist. At one part, he mentioned about, this is what a good friend of mine said, is karma is in the making now. It's coming. Because, you see, it said Mahathir, I think he will live long to see his damages done by him. All these collateral damages. A lot of things. For all you know, this Jolo is also part of it.
Yeah, correct.
You see, as I gather, when I was most of the time I was in KL last until recently, 5 years back, 6 years back, I was back here. I saw that Mahathir forays into another return in politics because of one entity. Not to say whether he want to kill or no, because of his off the record line. Because of his crony that dapat Sungai Besi. Because that's Sungai Besi people do
Malaysia,
under ONTV. Under Malaysia, right? So I think it's 240 acres, a very big one. Sungai Besi area, you know, that area. Because my office last time I always pass there, you know. One is very big one. So the person that he's supposed to get that one is the Sehati was the block area. Because it's possibility to the KL capital, right? And of course, next one is the Kampung Baru, the Malay Kampung Baru. So it's a big one. The one where TL did make move to buy the whole thing and then give 30 or 40% to the Malays there. No? He proposed that to Mahathir at the time, but when he left, he passed it to Pala. So it happened to be one morning. I was there. I was there. I was having I was going to have breakfast with Pala in Putrajaya, you know. I think on the second year of his office. So it was delayed for half an hour. And it came out to me that the person seeing him is YDL. So after that, we mentioned we went to see him, and he mentioned to me that so and so is proposing that. So I'm not going to approve that. And that angered this Tun Mahathir. That's number one. Number two, because of this Sulawesi. And then Pavilion thing also. And Pavilion, the area Pavilion, this supposed to be given to this Wilson. but our Tansi Mustari got our local guy Tansi Mustari got it right, and then they work they work with Busan. It was to Najib at that time. Najib was deputy minister of defense. So he favored Bustari to come up with this Bustet, because Bustet is owned by FPAT, right? It's tentera, you know.
Yeah.
So this is more on to secure interest for our tentera, not for himself, not for any individuals, right? So Bustari is just a party where they develop the area with another few with the subsidy of the FPAT. That's it. That's it. So that's the only person that I knew about. But I think everything is a chronic. For example, like our LPU, our Pen Borneo, it is the GLC. It does not belong to Tansi Busari, right? It's a GLC. It's owned by the government. So Najib is going to go away with that, and then he was being accused of. So there is no way they can get Najib but through LYDP. That's why they failed the IPO. If we not they fail IPO, YPD will not go for this funding from outside. That IPO, if it got into place, if it's successful, it will be more than what they can afford to in order to develop that area. And who failed that one? Sehati. Because ada his parents. Remember lah case tu Sami Abbas, judiciary. Who interfered? Case Solkan Gamti, the Indian leader, lawyer, interfered the appointments of judges. So this comes to the next question, the separation of power. How separate is the separation of powers? They come later lah. There is another topic.
Najib make it right already. Najib make it right already.
That's why people are coming back because they said the Chinese coming back. See, that's why in Penang, you see people coming in droves to welcome him. And then DAP was quick because they are very quick as far as they are very better than us, better than SUPP or better than say when come to counter attack. The SUPP are very fast. With their RB18. So they attack si Najib. Said using the president said it is not officially. But whether it's official or not, can see the people are welcoming him with grace. You see? He's coming so people with his t-shirt only, right? And then with simple like that. But of course he cannot run away from all this body, but he's entitled to that. All this bodyguard, he was entitled as an ex-premier, ex-prime minister, he was entitled to that. Even Mahathir was entitled to that. So, and then of course, the way he put himself in the public forum or in domain, in the SOCMED, how he rebut the government of the day and the previous government. It makes sense.
I think he's the only one person who is effective in doing it.
Yes.
Maybe because he's no more the government, so he got some luxury of time.
Yes, luxury of times to do it. Yeah. And most of the time he's the one who's doing that now. Not his lieutenants or. But of course he got a few people lah, to post it out. But most of the time he's doing that. That recent one in Penang, a speech about the forum, the business forum, right? It got everybody by surprise. It could be people like the finance minister or the chief minister, or it can be the prime minister or who is officiating the forum. But why Najib? So it got people by surprise. The message has been going on. It's like a republic. They go to China. And the Chinese, I believe the Chinese government prefer Najib than the rest. As you can see, how they play.
It is political economy, a very important field.
Definitely,
Colonialism, capitalism. There's one scholar who did that and classified our Malaysia well before Najib is colonialism, capitalism. Very good book, It's a thesis of his. And then now it seems that we are moving away about international GSC capitalism. And now you see that this guy try to create a middle class here, try to create wealth for everybody. There's a shift. I think Martel should realize it's time to let go his old man's life.
I think Nabi has done this study on how aggravative when it comes to colonialism. See, last time it's just like umbrella, window kind of thing, umbrella. Okay, I give this project to Tajuddin Ramli, for example. Okay, this project can create all this Bumi Buta, these people around Buta, they give this KJB with this Vietnam Bumi or something like that, Chinese or Indian or whatever lah. So in the end of the day, everybody got the thing. But it's not feasible more with doesn't like that. Because it's going to hit us. And it's not going to achieve anything. Because the desire to get a certain percentage in our economy for the Bumis in Malaysia, it cannot be, it is only good on paper, but on the real side of things, it's not happening. That's why I believe Najib is doing through another way to help these people gaining their strength, gaining their true potential, I believe that a Malay can be a good businessman if given a good opportunity. You cannot give them a good or always give them everything is spoon fed or not. No, it's gone other days. In fact, for example, like myself, myself, I don't have the luxury to have all this government. It's all Papa and Mama. I'm giving the same to my kids. Only the final part I have this PTPT they pay but not anything on the. It's not a free selling kind of thing. I told them, and then I encourage them not to work in the government. I told my kids to work in other sector, not in the government. I'm not going to encourage them. So they are working outside. One of my kids are working now in Osaka. They're working as a seller.
Japan.
In the sea between China.
Right.
He's a marina.
Marina. Okay.
Very nice. I say take something days beyond that. But he's heavy with politics. Even though he's in Osaka, he's in my WhatsApp group.
Now the economy has become globalized. You cannot go like the old method for expediency. Okay, I think I quickly wrap up and let you have the last word.
I have my word already.
I just go through a little bit here for future. I would like you to.
Anything to add?
I'm hoping that going into GE15, it can be a time of national reconciliation. You see, the damage of the politics at the federal level the last few years is something like the politics in Thailand, the red shirt and yellow shirt, red shirt, yellow shirt. This one win, this one lose, this one lose, this one win. Always fighting, never stop. So who
the king has to come down.
So the country actually suffer, because of the red shirt and the yellow shirt, So it's always fighting, one blow here, one blow here, one blow here. You see, so the national reconciliation has to start, I think it has started with MA63 because of what is plundered from Sarawak and Sabah is starting to be given back. You see, so the injustices has to be corrected. That's one way. Other injustices has already been corrected by Pakla, the Saleh Abbas case, so they were reinstated, given pension and all that. So this one, Then the other thing now is for the old guards to go, Anwar must go, Lim Kik Siang is out already, Mahathir is clearly out, because now whatever he speak, nobody listen, and his party lost the deposit of all the, all the
99%.
Yeah. In Johor.
41 lost deposit. Less than 500.
You see, so Mahathir has to face it already. And now when you're looking at the opposition camp, PKR is having the election. Rafizi and Nurul Izzah say, it's going to be another 10 years. It's not going, if he think that PKR is going to take power easily in the next GE, it's not true, it's not going to happen. and then they have to go back to the grassroots. So when you go back to the grassroots, you have to change yourself. This is so it's no more those kind of politics.
Yeah.
And then at the DAP level, Anthony Locke has become the new Secretary General.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think it is not perfect, but at least it's going somewhere. So I think a national reconciliation is possible, And then I think the Najib issue, it also has to be some reconciliation, because Mahathir is using it for his personal vendetta, and then in doing so, he created the whole country into a collateral damage. The whole country is a collateral damage.
Yes.
You see, so somehow something has to be done. How is it going to be done? We are not able to say anything. It's out of our control now, because it's a big thing.
Yeah.
We are only small bits here and there. But I think the national reconciliation is important. Without the national reconciliation, election again, you have the same problem. This one run here, this one run there. It's always the root cause is the national issue.
Yeah.
So also it has to be a national reconciliation, where the wrong things have to be addressed, and the people have to, I think in that sense, Patla has done a lot of things, Like it's not easy for him to become the prime minister at that time. When he got a big majority at that time, the Omen was so unhappy,
Yes.
And the moment he slipped in parliament, the Omen jumped on him,
Yes.
You see, so actually Patla is the one who started all this thing. Then Anwar Ibrahim came out. You see, without Patla, it would not be, because with Dr. M is 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward, 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, that kind of thing.
Yes.
In national transition, the most important thing is the leaders must learn from their mistakes, and we must have a better opposition. Opposition must know what is their role. Don't overstep and don't toxify, intoxicate the whole thing.
I think the opposition is getting it now, because Rafizi
Yeah,
said it's better to be an opposition with dignity.
Yes.
He actually used that kind of word.
Yeah.
And in Sarawak, DAP is learning the lesson. He cannot simply say anything. Court case a lot, like this black hole and all that. Court case a lot. So I think Sarawak, back to Sarawak here, we also need a good professional, good opposition. So in other words, the whole structure of democracy, of our parliamentary democracy must be right. Legislative must be right. Rather than just a fight against confront each other. We can accept different, but let the people decide, and then respect the people. Don't quarrel and do and then. I think the Mahathir and other versus other prime minister is one example. Ours we don't have. We shouldn't fight for our own sake. We both want to be premier, right? 2% want to be DCA. For you as SUPP, many wants to be the president. Itu cerita. So quarrel lah. Itu ada internal struggle itu dia cakap tu. So that's why we must be mature and let the people decide and respect the people. Don't stay there and then create trouble.
Sometimes you have to. There must be a limit for where you be a party. There must be a limit. You cannot stay there. You don't overstay the welcome or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So my parting remarks is that looking into GPS, GPS must be strengthened in every aspect of it, from the political sector, from the maybe through other means and ways. It has to be interaction within parties, within the group like CBP, BPRS, PDP or something. There must be a loose kind of forum or caucus in order for us to interact with each other, and of course from the top to level, from the ground level, when we can interact with people. I think the masses that makes up us, they make up the party. Without them, I don't think that we are able to be around here to govern again. But on the national part, GPS must play its part. We must be certain that which party we're going to be with, because it will be suicidal for us to be with another party which is going to lose. You see, so maybe our leadership must have the head must have a good judgment on how to, because at the end of the day, when you are just a mere passenger, even though you are a party member, and no matter how you put yourself, maybe in order to please us, maybe the Prime Minister, okay, I give to Sarawak become the Prime Minister. You never know. It happens in future, we never know. And it happens to be that somebody smile, or maybe somebody else is going to be the Prime Minister. We don't know. And say, Sarawak will be Prime Minister. And then you know what is the portfolio? Minister for Women Affairs. That is very bad. So we need to observe, like you said, what we want. You see, we have to be assertive. For example, okay, if the Minister of Finance is fit for us, why not? We must have a good pause whereby, I remember last time we had Minister of Education. Our first our Chief Minister Tunaman was a Minister of Education last time, right?
Yes. UKM started.
Yes. And then of course our Dr. Sulaiman was Minister of Education also last time, right? So education is the key thing. Is the one of the senior post, senior ministerial position. Of course, beside the finance. And why they give them the finance? What about the tantra? What about the economy? Don't tell me that Sarawakans they are very poor in that. So it seems
we are in position now.
Yes, because since we
are one of the richest.
We contributed a lot to the national economy, and we through Petronas, of course through Petronas, through our oil and gas, to our resources. But of course, at the state level, we need to create a new portfolio in new ways. For example, like biodiversity, talking about the carbon, our people is talking about carbon, right? Carbon,
hydrogen.
He's talking about something new. So it's all renewable resources or something like that. So he's talking about IT, the big data or something like that. So we need to be in the forefront. So I want PS to lead rather than lead.
Yes, correct.
So meaning that we must be in the strong position whereby they can't lose us.
Yes.
So when it comes to matters like demands, our demand for 1/3 of our parliamentary seat, the seat must not be at the present status quo. It must be enlarged in order for us to get a 1/3. And Sarawak being bigger than Sabah, must have at least 55% of that 1/3. For example, like now presently we have 222, right? Maybe we have 2450. So that 28 more seats or something like 28 more seats be given proportionally to Sabah and Sarawak, 55 to or 45% or something. So from there on, maybe we can have around 50 something seats, and then with a total of 84 seats. So that will be our strength as a local, as a partners in the formation of Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak, 84 seats, in order to make up the 250 seats. So whether it be 1/3, So I think we should go into that. And then of course, like Dr. Wan Junaidi said in the parliament the other day, he mentioned about we can propose now, we can putting the ideas now, but of course the declination of Kuasa will be in 2023, like once every 8 years. So we have to follow the law. So after 2003 then we can start the ball rolling. So I hope within that period, maybe next 5-10 years, maybe we can get what we want. So we're talking about the next 10 to 10 years. The next 10 years. We may know faster. But the more we push for it, the more stronger we are. We are in a better position. I think we can get it faster.
Correct.
So I believe with this narrative, right? The people can come together in order for us to realize our demand for that matter, because very important. And we have made our achievement as far as we are concerned regarding our MA63, pursuant to MA63, to be part and parcel of our national constitution. We have referred to the 1957 constitution, right? Now it's referred to MA63. So meaning that is a success feat by GPS government, which we can claim, you know.
Yes.
So that is our winning factor. I think because of that we have 1 week in Sarawak.
Yes, definitely.
That's my
one
final request. Okay, thank you.
Definitely. There's a 4th item listed by Abang Jo, winning factor.
So
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, on behalf of SUPP, especially Dr. Sim, I want to thank you, sir. And Abang and all of you. Thank you. We hope SUPP could help do more, and we definitely do our part. Like Dr. Sim said, you start first. So after that, you follow up. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.